Just hit that with the needle scaler and it's mostly disappeared. Well, I'm going to get into this today. There's been quite a lot of plasma cutting go on, and some of it wasn't really needed. None of it got treated evidently, and if it did, it was not very well. I feel like the conversion to Rolls Royce engine was quite rushed, using whatever pieces they had. So this front engine mount here, that's a piece of 2mm steel. And then here, you know, that's at least 6, maybe even 8mm 80 by 80 angle, maybe bigger. It's just pretty mad that you're going from that huge size like that down to that. It's kind of bent over. I'm not really sure where it's got to be, but I feel like I'm definitely going to want to be taking the front suspension apart. So I think I'll probably start with that. So I want to take the suspension leaf mount off the front in order to take a look behind it, but I also want to take this cross member off, so it's difficult to know where to put the jacks. It's going to be a little bit interesting. Well, there's a rough and ready, probably too high jack stand, whatever you call it. It's not going to go high enough, is it? It's not going to go high enough to get that. Well, it feels good to be 2 hours into a job and manage to get it jacked up, but I really want it to be safe. So I just built this steel stand. She ain't going nowhere. Just want to get these leaf springs out. It reminds me of when I've been welding on something and all of a sudden you get this familiar smell. Filler burning, and you're like, oh, I'm going to have to cut a bigger repair panel. I'm going to need you to. Some of it's thick, some of it's not. So let's remember that this was put together by a team of professionals working for the RAC. I think that was on the outside of it doing absolutely nothing. I think that was probably from the bull bars. Someone wanted it, rather than unbolting it, they cut it off. So, I don't know. I think this piece across here needs reinforcement, but I think next thing is to get the front off. When it's possible, I like to go over the pinch welds where the spot welds are with the grinder like that, because it gives you a nice contrast and shows you where to drill. Because I want to take this piece off and then put it back on. This is how I'm going to do it. Well, I think I'm going to pivot on this a little bit. I thought that if I drilled out those pop rivets, those spot welds, the piece might come off. But as I'm romping on it, it's evident that I'm never going to be able to get it off and put it back on again. So I've taken another look at it, and the pieces which are crappy I'm going to cut out from the top and the bottom and then just weld up these again. So it's difficult to show because of the light and so forth, but it's basically the lower and upper pieces. I'm just going to work my way around cleaning those up. So I've got a little piece cut out of this top down to good metal. So there are a couple of patches behind here and they're not too bad. You can see them from the inside there. This piece here, like around there, I've decided to replace the whole thing and put a piece of 2mm in. So we'll replicate that hole, we'll cut a piece of cardboard for that, weld it on under the back side, and bring it up the front here, probably do a little seam weld there, and then bring it out to here, get it in behind that crash bar, run a nice weld in there. I mean, this is like probably 0.5, maybe 0.7, 0.9 perhaps mil steel, all pressed to give it the strength. But I guess the dirt just hangs in there and then it kind of rusts through. I think a nice piece of 2mm thick steel is going to offer a nice, I don't quite know how that mounts on the bumper or whatever, but if we take this off and replicate that hole, I'm pretty sure we'll be good to go. So this is all cleaned up. So there's a drain off down there. So I didn't want to put the steel behind it. We got it on like that. It's a pretty thick piece of steel for a repair such as this, but I feel that it's going to be the way to go. So I'm going to do a butt weld joint there and kind of like a seam and fill a bit there, and then I'll clamp it on, hammer that in and do a couple of spot welds, pull them up from behind, and then that'll be a nice sturdy piece to hold the bumper on with. This side piece all nicely welded in. And then I've got a piece in here and the top nicely let in. Get that welded in. Spot weld from the front, infill from the back. A little bit of tidying up left to do on that, but she's welded in there, that piece. I guess I need to work on the underside next. Pretty crusty underneath there. So yeah, I've got some holage to fix there. It's the end of the frame rails. I think it's just going to be cut out and put a new plate in there. I think these bits I'm going to hit with the needle scaler, get those in there like that. I'll hit this with the needle scaler and see how we're doing. I've got that piece under there welded in. It's not my favourite thing, to be fair, but it just does need doing. I can't help thinking that these pieces need properly replacing. That's likely to be a thing, but I'll put some 2mm. Just get on with it, isn't it? Well, look at that. I've got a piece cut and folded and a couple of holes in it already, in kind of the right place. I'm going to go ahead and cut across the top, so I clamped it in. I'll cut across the top here, and the plan is to peel off the lower part and replace it with this piece. It's much thicker than this outer skin. They're sort of doubled up, so you've got a frame rail which goes through, which is probably 2mm thick steel, and then this outer skin with the pressings in it is about probably 0.9, and then we should be able to fix a lot of these other issues at the same time. I think in engineering and working on vehicles and whatnot, I've learnt that one of the most important things that you can do is not discount pivoting, changing the plan. Now, I originally had in mind that I was going to cut a series of pieces like that. I was originally going to cut a load of pieces like that, weld it in on here, but this substructure is completely rotted out. It's no good. I mean, it would be strong enough. I was going to seam weld it across there, etc. It would be strong enough, but underneath is all still a bit rubbish. It isn't just to get it through the next MOT, and let's not forget that we've got a much heavier V8 engine than the 2-litre Pinto that was in it when it came out of the factory. The plan is I'm going to draw some pieces and have them laser cut, because it's the same each side. What you've got here, it's hard to show you on the camera, but what you've got here, this is sort of like a U-shaped piece, which is fairly heavy. That's like good 1.5 mil thick probably. Underneath there you've got like a locator, which is 2 mil thick, maybe 2.5. It is rusted through, and then over the top you've got another piece which is sheet metal, which is probably 1 mil. So what I'm going to do is see if I can get a stronger piece to replace this. That'll be laser cut and folded, maybe 2 pieces, because we've got kind of like a step up. I'll have a piece over the top of it, which I think we're going to bring all the way to the top here to encapsulate and replace all of this, and that'll be 2 mil. So this will be 3mm steel. Cover piece will be 2 mil, and then this piece here. This piece might be okay on it, you know, ready to go, but I'm not 100% sure. Just needs to be allowed to fit, and then I'll make 2 lots and it'll replace both sides. It isn't going to be super cheap, but it is going to be super strong. It is going to be exactly what this truck needs in order to make it good to go again. But yeah, I think I want to cut out all of this. I'll cut it across there. I get a nice seam weld up the top there. Gonna be a little while longer yet, but we've got side piece done. We can press on and do the other side pieces. I think for tonight I'm going to give it a bit of a tidy up. Leave this video there. Probably show you what the CAD drawing is going to look like. Well, here I am in the studio, just a posh shed in the garden really, editing this video for you guys, and I realise I didn't sign off that one very well. I haven't had time to do the CAD drawings yet, but I will get them done in the next few days. I think Ben wants to come and do an update as well, so maybe you'll see some footage of Reggie on his channel as well. Anyway, I want to thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you later. I'm just glad you didn't try and undo those bolts. Someone has done that, haven't they?
Yeah,